Wait for people to come. Or not. So, I guess we start here. Right, this Paranormal Night In is going to be, we're going to be doing things like a film quiz, and what else have we got lined up? Put my glasses on. Yeah, film quiz. I'm going to be talking about stone tape theory. We're going to be looking at a photograph that we saw on the internet, discussing that. I've got a couple of stories to tell, and we also have an experiment to do. Now, most of you I know will watch this on catch up, but you never know, it could still work. So this box contains a mystery item. Now, there are so many people who claim to be mediums and be able to do sort of remote viewing that I'm thinking, hey, everyone can have a go at it, right? So if you're watching this, either live or later, then just see if you can work out and comment in the comment section what this is, what is in this box. I'll leave that there. All right. So, as I say, we're gonna go through the quiz soon, take a trip down memory lane to talk about an investigation I did in the past 11 years. But first we're looking at a popular photo, a video from Hampton Court Palace back in 2003, which claims to show Henry VIII, but I'm really not sure whether that's a fact or not. I'll let you decide. I did post the video on Facebook earlier in the week, and possibly our Instagram feed too, which reminds me that we do have such a thing as Facebook. I know it's backwards now. Instagram and TikTok, but those are some of the outlets we post things to. But you know, YouTube is where we try and post most things. So I'm going to pull up this picture on my iPad, and if you haven't seen it, this will be your opportunity. So it's about Hampton Court Palace down London in England, and this is supposedly a ghost that they caught. It's Hampton Court is a Surrey location, and this is what security guards caught. Now I'll try not to catch the glare. Oops, that's not it, that's D&D. Boom, that one. So yes, there seems to be some sort of ghostly figure, or so it is reported, to be on the CCTV. Now there is a better picture where they have zoomed in on this footage. So let's look at the events unfolding first. It's about this security door was opening up, and the security guards are wondering what it is. So when they watch the footage, they see a robed individual setting foot forward and having a bit of a look around, and then seemingly want to close the doors and back in. So really, we're wondering, you know, we'll have to think about it. We'll decide amongst ourselves if we think that's a ghost or not. So comment in the comment section or comment live. Do you think that's a ghost? So is your first reaction spirit? Because I'm not sure, but I'm going to talk why. Why I think I'm not. Either way. So first of all, what have we got here? Security footage, and this is a place with great tourism. So being a touristy place and ghosts being good for tourism, we've already got a suspicious baseline. These sort of places live off ghost stories, so it's hugely in their favour to think they have a spirit or to spread the word of a spirit. But on the other hand, you have to accept that old places are very likely to have old residents, and with all the tourists going through, the energy provided means that they're always powered enough to show themselves and do evidence. So let's just look at the story as it unfolds. It's CCTV footage. Security guards reported that on 3 consecutive days, the fire doors blew open. Bingley. Oh no, I've heard that. That's been in the internet. That Bingley mega chippy. I didn't even know if it's banging. I didn't even know if it was meant to be haunted. But yeah, I have seen it on the news feeds. Yeah. Right. So the doors open on 3 consecutive days. On day 1, these fire doors at Hampton Court Palace, they blew open. The security guards hear the alarm, and they then will rush down, because that's the job, see if there's any intruders, and they find nobody there. That is the way the story presents itself. No one is found. Now, there's no timestamp with that. You don't get this was in the middle of the night, in the day. This is the problem. The details are suspiciously thin when I research this. So that was day 1. Day 2 comes, again, no real sense of time, but we'll get more into it. So day 2, that was when the video, and it is a video, but it's so choppy, it may as well be a series of photos. They catch the image of somebody in robes, who they've actually called Skeletor, because he does look like Skeletor from He-Man. You can check it out yourself online. So that's when the main thing is caught. But then on day 3, the doors actually open again. Bit suspicious, you know. Well, on the surface you're thinking something wrong with the doors, if your fire doors are opening 3 times. Yes, well worth the 12-hour... Right. I don't think you didn't make that journey, Shush, did you? Anyway. So yeah, there's something wrong with the fire doors. I mean, why would, if it was a spirit, right, why would it open the doors on 3 occasions and then only show itself once? Now, when we look, obviously, online, we have to look at what the security guards said, if they said anything. And what they seemed to say were there were no actors or guides around at that time. So we've learned 2 things, that there were actors at some point and there are guides. It's a busy place. They must be, you know, to have like actors, presumably in costume, and then something that looks like a costume, because nobody wears that sort of clothing just as a tourist. Now, it is claimed that a visitor wrote on the day that the apparition was seen that she'd seen a ghost in that area, That's all you get. That's one supposed woman saying, yes, I've seen a ghost in that area. So the area's not saying exactly in the fire doors, and it's just a bit suspicious. She's not saying exactly a description. You know, she's not saying, I saw the Hampton Court ghost who looked just like the footage that is online. It's just a bit after the fact as well. You know, that she had seen a ghost in that area. It just... But anyway, we go deeper. James Fawkes, he's the warder, says that he thought it was someone having a laugh in a costume. So this is somebody that is a worker at Hampton Court Palace, and he says, I think it's a joke, you know? He says, I think it's someone having a laugh in a costume, but we don't have costumes like that. I mean, if it's meant to be Henry VIII, and you have actors in dress up, surely having a robe with a bit of a regal hood in that far a leap, I would have thought. And also it's on CCTV, so when you get night vision, it can completely change the colour of your clothing. You know, your black turns to white, white can turn to black. So, I don't know whether he's appreciated that, but it's hard to say, isn't it? You get such little information. But this is James Fawkes. F-A-U-K-E-S. I would like to, you know, try and find more about this mysterious character. Hey, Kim. Hi, how are you doing? Thank you for watching. We're just discussing the Hampton Court photograph, which I'll show again in a minute. So the second person to actually have a comment on this is Ian Franklin. He must also work at this. Hi Carla, good to have you on board. Ian Franklin works at the Hampton Court Palace. He added absolute unit. Oh, that's the hiking. Right. So he added, it's really difficult to come up with a rational explanation. So guy number one thinks it's a joke, who works there. He says he thinks it's someone in a costume having a laugh, right? And then person number two says, it's really difficult to come up with a rational explanation, even though the guy who is adding on a comment to said the rational explanation. So it's not difficult, is it? The rational explanation is someone's having a laugh. I mean, but I'm talking through the cynical point of view now, that the most common likelihood story is that it's somebody playing a joke. So that would be the most rational way of looking at it. However, it happened on 3 days. Well, no, the doors opened on 3 consecutive days. Day 1, the fire doors opened. The security guards rushed down there. Well, let's be honest. The security guards would not have rushed down there. Security guards, their job is to sit and watch CCTV and drink coffee. And I'm sure that when the buzzer for a door goes over, they didn't grab their walkies and, you know, and sprint down the corridor. To me, it looks like daylight, but it doesn't actually say, it doesn't specify, but I'll get into we can sort of guess a time zone from some of the comments. So the security guards goes down there, day 1. Oh, the wind's blown, the fire doors open. So obviously, it's going to take an immensely strong wind from inside the building to plunge the door handles enough to have the fire doors open outwards, right? So we could probably think to ourselves, it's probably the wind isn't going to blow from the inside, even though there was a comment that on 3 consecutive days the fire doors blew open. Now, of course, what causes wind to gush through from the inside? Another door or a window opening somewhere else in the building. We've all had it in summer. Your windows are open upstairs and downstairs. Your inner doors, what were open, slam shut. So a through draft. Now, the 3 consecutive days, that's what concerns me. Now, doors open, no ghost, day 1. Day 2, an image is caught on CCTV. Day 3, the doors open, but nothing is caught. I don't know. There's no way we're going to find out as such. But with me saying about the time zone, have you ever been to White House, injured in White House? No, we haven't been injured in investigating with the team. We had one lad fall off a bit of a slope, and it was like a ramp to go to another room, and he was on the sort of upper ledge and happened to fall and twist and nearly hurt himself, to be honest. That's, I think, as close. I stepped on a nail in a farm and it went right through my trainer and just touched the underside of my foot. I guess that's my worst one. But there's no damage caused. So yeah, we get a time zone from these responses because when one of the gentlemen says, security guards say there were no actors or guides around at that time. I'm trying to think around at that time. They're not saying they weren't in the building. They were just saying, they're not saying, oh, the actors were off. They're saying they weren't around the fire doors at that time, which would suggest to me that it's in open hours, which suggests to me that it's in the daytime. And would a ghost really show itself so fully formed in the middle of the day? It's just suspicious. But why would it play with the fire doors? Why, it opens and shuts the doors. It's like playing with it would be playing with the doors. He's even having a peep out. It's been suggested. He's literally got his hand on the door and he's pushing the door handle open. Well, ghosts don't need to have that physical element, do they? It looks like a human. I mean, not in the face, perhaps. But it seems too good to be true. It's in the middle of the day. It's good for business. Why aren't my photos on colour? It's CCTV. That is night vision. Even in the day. Although some do go colour. You raise a good point. If we could find out if those were the more expensive ones that are colour, then it might, because some do. I think my CCTV ones are colour until it gets dark enough that the infrared lights pop on and it's black and white. But they might have cheap crap ones. Who knows? But I have used CCTV cameras for a lot of years and then stopped because I would have to review, all the footage and nothing. And I'm thinking, do ghosts even show up on CCTV? Not like that, they don't. Not dressed for Halloween, I've heard the reason given. This could have been one of the guides sneaking out for a cig. Where's the place that you sneak off to? It's a fire door, isn't it? It looks like they're opening it up, having a look around, and then going, shit, CCTV. Maybe that's cynical. But even if we take the route that, okay, it's a spirit, why does it open the door? Why does it open and shut both doors? Like, oh, more doors are opening. I mean, it just seems unnatural. I've never heard any other case like that. So if you want to give me what your thoughts, real, fake, comment in the live feed or comment on the video after I've posted it. Oh, there's more. Is he rumoured to haunt there? Well, he is now. He is now that some blokes in the costumes walked out. They call it the Henry VIII ghost, don't they? You type in Henry VIII scene, but then they've all nicknamed it real? Yeah, question marks, I take that on board. You're not specifying it's proper concrete. But they call it the Henry VIII ghost, and then when you actually look at the story, they're calling it Skeletor because it looks like a skeletal mask on. And a ghost wouldn't show itself with a skeletal mask, surely. So, May 27th, year 2000, until June the 4th, Richard Wiseman, the the sceptical, rational thinker, was invited to do an experiment at this location. And a timeline was made out of all the ghost witness testimonies throughout the time. And he made like a timeline. And I wrote something in my notes here. Yeah, there's two main people who work there, like the receptionist and a guy called Ronald, who was mostly around the building. And I think Ronald was the person helping with the whole event of having Richard Wiseman there. Neither of them had ever seen a ghost. These are people who were always around the building. And you would think that if there were any paranormal activity, they would be high up on the list of having seen a ghost. So Richard Wiseman goes, looks at it, looks at the timeline, and seemingly gets nothing out of looking at all the witness testimonies. There's not a pattern. It's just a load of people, putting their individual experiences down. So Ronald had not seen a ghost, receptionist had not seen a ghost, but Ronald goes on to say he heard footsteps after a door opening. So Ronald's one of these last people left in the building, and when asked, there was one time we were in the building, I think he was with another woman if I remember rightly. So him and this other woman are in the building, the last two in the building, and we hear footsteps and a door opening sound. But is that really uncommon? The place must be massive, So you think you're the last person in, but there's security guards on all the time. So surely, we don't know. Ronald says he's not seen a ghost, but he's heard footsteps and a door opening. I mean, it's not a lot to go on. Now, there's another account that two women were freaking out after seeing the same headless apparition in a dark robe. That one isn't headless. It is in a dark robe, unless the night vision isn't portraying reds or bright colours correctly. So even the headless apparition. I mean, headless apparition. How often these days, in the 70s there were headless horsemen. How many paranormal investigators these days report headless spirits? They don't. Because it's an old, outdated, headless horseman. It's just, those times have moved on. Now, the staff themselves collectively say that doors lock and unlock often, but you forget to do things, don't you? Even in my job that I do all the time, I find myself not doing things that I should do every day, and I should be in my head. So that the fact that some people are forgetting to lock and unlock doors, I don't know. I think all in all, there's nothing that juicy to go on. It all seems very suspicious, works out really well for the location. But, if you can find out any more information, if you fancy digging on the Hampton Court Palace ghost, let's discuss it again if we can do this again. That would be good. So, where are we now? I asked earlier on Facebook to give me what is the meaning of EMF. When we use those EMF meters, what does the EMF stand for? But I asked for wrong answers only. So if you're watching it live, you can comment, and if you're watching it when it's after the fact, you can leave it in comments. But the first comment we got was eerie motherfucker from Sue, so thank you, Sue. Eat my fish, and everyone's mother far out. So mother seems to be a popular one. But yeah, I can't imagine them saying, well, this is an EMF device. EMF stands for eerie motherfucker. I don't know, it just doesn't... I can't imagine that one. Right, it is time. It's time for the film quiz. So, I need you playing along to get yourself a pen and paper. And we're going to have 13 horror movie questions. And I'm going to see how well you do. So, I'll give you a minute while I slurp my tea. 13 questions. Now, horror films are my particular favourite. So if you're not already ready, tough. Question number 1 will be, how many Friday the 13th films have there been? Feel free to comment, because you might be wrong. You know, live comment, it's up to you. But question 1, how many Friday the 13th movies have there been? And if you're digging through your phone, going on IMDb, well, that's just down to you, but sucks to be you right now. Come on, it's fun. Join in the game. Time? Right. So don't mix Friday the 13th up with Halloween, even though they're very similar. Question number 2. The Psycho actress, Janet Leigh, is the mother of which actress? Psycho, a great film, the first film to feature a flushing toilet. The woman who gets stabbed in the shower, Janet Leigh, in the great Hitchcock movie, is the mother in real life of which actress? And then, question 3. Paranormal Activity, The Marked Ones, is which number of film? So The Marked Ones is which numbered Paranormal Activity? Paranormal Activity, what a great start, such a cheap budget, like Blair Witch. You know, filmed on a lot of CCTV as well. That just made money hands over fist, that did. Number 2, kind of was the same, I think. And then from there, I think this went a bit down. There was one that was quite good. Had like old people in like a cult at the end, having a bit of a ritual in a lounge or something. I seem to remember. I enjoyed that one. Okay, so that was question number 3. Question number 4. In Hellraiser, what is the term for the demons? They have a particular word. Clive Barker wrote that book. My favourite author. Done some excellent things, but will forever be known as the writer of Hellraiser. There is actually a remake coming out. I know there's been endless Hellraiser sequels and they've been abysmal, but I think he's back having input on the new remake of the first film. But yeah, in Hellraiser, what is the term for the demons? It's one word. Question 5. What does The Exorcist and the Joker movie share in the films? Something in the films that's shared between The Exorcist and Joker movie. Joker has got a sequel greenlit. I really enjoyed that Joker movie about mental health. Yeah, so hopefully the sequel is going to be good. There's talk of it being a musical, which I find really bizarre. But he was always thinking he was in a chat show, and I thought, man, dude, did he kill himself in it? Did he end up killing himself in it? I can't remember. Right, that was question 5. Question 5. Question number 6. Who plays Freddy Krueger in the Nightmare on Elm Street remake from 2010? Now, I was absolutely obsessed as a 15-year-old with all the Elm Streets, so much so that every time we were doing a project in design and communication at school, like shower gels and stuff, I would always tie Nightmare on Elm Street into it. I designed an Elm Street shower gel, and then we'd do a poster for crisps, and there'd be Freddy Krueger crisps. It just became a thing. That's all I wanted to do. I was completely obsessed. And then I ordered the hat and the all-over face mask, the hat and the glove, which I was weirdly obsessed with. I ordered it from America. You know, I used to say things like, wait 28 days for delivery, and it was 6 months, and I thought I'd lost my money, and I'd all but given up when this box arrived, and it was absolutely my pride and joy. So, question number 7. What's the worst room number in The Shining? And I just recently watched The Shining with my 14-year-old son, and he's 15. And he loved it, because he loved 2010, also by Stanley Kubrick. And because horror films are my thing, I said, oh, you might like that. And they'd actually, in Ready Player One, Steven Spielberg's Ready Player One, they go back into The Shining and recreate it wonderfully. Right, so what was the worst room number in The Shining? Number 8. Who is not returning to the new Scream movie because she was only offered a low amount of pay in this year, 2022? Who is not returning to the new Scream movie because she was only offered a low amount of money to do it? And again, the first Scream movie, Wes Craven again, director of Elm Street. Wes Craven reinvented horror with Scream by, referencing all the horror films that had come after his great films. And then it went downhill, didn't it? And then there was that Scary Movie rip-off. Because there's that phase in the 90s where loads of films had to have, piss-take versions. Just cheap, wasn't it? Some of them were funny, but just easy knockoffs. Right, question number 9. How many versions of The Thing are there? How many movie versions? I'm thinking of John Carpenter's The Thing. But how many of them? Not sequels, but how many versions? Things get remade. Because there's no Thing 2. Right. And the effects on The Thing, I remember seeing. I watched a lot of horror films when I was about 10. I watched Evil Dead when I was 9, and that's what got me into horror films. Sneaking down to watch my brother's rental copy at about 8 in the morning because he used to sleep in and I was up early. And I watched it in 15-minute sections and then took a bit of a breather and watched it. And Evil Dead changed my life. And then I just wanted to absorb all horror. And it wasn't a case of being too frightened, it was a case of being just fascinated. I loved it, and so I still love horror to this day. Where are we? Question number 10. What age certificate did Poltergeist get when it was released in 1982? What age certificate? Poltergeist. Absolutely amazing film at the time. And back then, that's when video covers used to not give anything away. There'd be some really vague, scary, spooky covers on the videos, and you just had a name, like Poltergeist. What the hell is that? Okay, next. Question 11. In which film is a podcaster surgically turned against his will into a walrus? Yeah, if you haven't seen it, it's an odd one. Which film is a podcaster surgically turned into a walrus? 2 more questions left. Right, question 12. Sadako in the original film and Samara in the remake of that film. Which film is it? Sadako in the original and Samara in the remake. But which horror film is that? And the clue is that the original was a Japanese horror, and then along come the USA and make it in English. Okay, question 13. In the Conjuring movies, who do Vera Farmiga and Patrick Wilson play? You guys must have seen the Conjuring movies if you're watching this stream. Vera Farmiga and Patrick Wilson. Who do they play in The Conjuring? That is your 13 questions. How many do you think you got? How many are you definite about getting? Out of 13, how many do you think you got? 0? Jesus, you love the Conjuring movies. Yeah, they're really good, aren't they? Yeah. There's been 3 though, aren't there? The third one, I think it started to slip. Wasn't it called? You got a 5, Kim, you think? That's alright. It's weird when you're writing questions because the things you pop into your head are the things you know. We're going to answer them later on. So if you want to leave, feel free, because you can watch the end of this video when it's posted online. But we'll get to it. And anyone who's missed the start of this video, are they based on Enfield? The second one, number 2, was based on the Enfield Poltergeist. Number 1, was it based on any case? I don't think so. And number 3 seemed just like a Hollywood thing. But is there gonna be a Conjuring 4? I think so. Yeah, looking at that. But yes, the Enfield. I was so excited when they were doing Enfield with like Maurice Grosse and that, and the girl out of the voice out of the girl, the real tape of that. Oh, it used to chill me. Because the people were saying, the doctors were saying, that girl could physically not, with her vocal cords, make the noise that is recorded. And yet Maurice Grosse was the investigator, but the guy who died, can't remember his name, but died in the chair in this corner, was an old fella. It sounded convincing, and when things go on long enough, there's always the question of authenticity, but Bill, that's it, yes. Yeah, Bill, of course. Yeah, creepy as. Yeah, and I thought it was a pretty good film. I think some people I heard were like, rubbish. But no, I thought it was really good. Especially a part with something with his armchair. There's a big jump scare. Whether the chair moves or something, or he's behind it. I can't remember. But yeah, proper jumped out my skin. Okay. So, as on my YouTube channel, on the team's YouTube channel, I put a few stories, 3 stories, which I just spoke about. And I just want to give you a little one, really. So, Dalton Mills was a place we went. And it was used by Peaky Blinders. They used it to do some filming, as have a lot of other productions actually. Now, this mill burnt out quite a lot, had a lot of fire damage, and they were renovating it. And oh god, how many windows down one side? I don't know. Let's say 20, 25 windows. It's a huge mill that you drive past roadside. But inside, maybe 3 or 4 floors. Well, there's a basement, so let's call it 4 floors. And it just, nobody ever really saw it in its full state because it was because of the fire, the original fire. We somehow, I think it was teammate Si, got in touch with the caretaker, and we did a bit of a bribe because he would let us in on a Saturday night, and Si would give him a bottle of whiskey or something. So this guy would come down, open up. We couldn't really damage anything. It was in disrepair, and we told him we're just going to walk around with cameras and stuff. And once he got his little bribe, he was happy. He'd come back about midnight or so, and we were out. So yeah, he was chuffed. But we went there a few times. So there's maybe 5 of us, myself and Si leading, and then teammates Sue, Jill, and Kevin, who mostly did cameras. So I think I'm right in saying that was probably the lineup. Anyway, there's a huge yard where the mill shares with other buildings. Caretaker comes down, opens up, takes his bribe, sods off, and then we're like, right, come on guys, let's get his equipment in, carry the bags in, chattering away. I don't think this is our first visit. Can't quite remember, it's not really that important. Now there's one occasion we were all stood outside, either on a break or at the beginning, and the doors had been open, and then silently, we stood like 3 foot away, the door was just shut as we tried to go in, and it was like, hey, when did the door shut? And we were all, I mean, it sounds like a non-story that, this isn't the real story I'm going for, but we all like, how did that happen? It's almost like, don't come in. Or am I remembering it wrong? What did it come open? That's a good job that's not part of the story. But there was a thing about the door. We were like, I don't remember the door being in that state, and we never heard it move. It all seemed like a sign. Almost like walking into a huge beast's mouth. Because as soon as you went through that door, it was not even single columned all the way down. It's double columned. It was so wide and vast. And when we investigated there, it was full of women spirits who had been doing fabric stuff, I think. And while doing their fabric work, they'd listened to the radio. And I remember they were key. I said to you, what music did you like? And they said ABBA. The lead spirit said ABBA. And we said, oh, shall we, but next time we come, we'll bring you some music, which we've done since. What ABBA track? And it's spelled out on the Ouija board, Dancing Queen. I remember on the next visit, we went there playing Dancing Queen over a speaker, and the glass was just having such a lovely time. And it's really touching, that. But the story I was trying to tell you, caretaker had gone. Now, there was steps to a cellar. Everywhere else, you would have quite a lot of broken windows streaming in light. But downstairs, underground, nothing. We're all a bit, not on edge, kind of excitable that, ooh, this is creepy. So we go down, and then it's just a long, not as wide as the upstairs, just a long middle bit. We just go to like a room, an open doorway, along another open doorway, and then for quite some time just walls. And sort of the deeper you got in, realising there was no exit at the other end, there was no side exits, you were walking deep into the belly. And we'd looked for a flat bit of ground, it was a lot of mud, it was uncared for. And I seem to think there was a paving slab which we managed to put the table tipping board on, and then a Ouija board on top. We're all just torch lit and putting equipment everywhere. Now I also remember there was a coffin at the end because it was used for filming, as I say, and so there was a fake coffin. And that gives you the heebie-jeebies, it gets you a bit more excited when, you know, you're meeting this blood-stained coffin in the dark. But setting up for a Ouija board session down there, and I hear, because Si's running the board, the team are on the board, I'm stood back with a clipboard usually, writing down key things that I want to remember instantly. I'm writing down if people cough, if people knock something, anything that when I play my audio back, I know I can discount, you know. I hear footsteps upstairs and everyone stops and goes, "What's that?" So not only do I hear footsteps now, I'm hearing two voices, a male voice and a female voice. So as I'm walking the belly back to the steps, torch lit on my own, over my head, coming the other way, are two sets of footsteps and two voices. I can't tell what they're saying, but it makes sense in my head. The way I processed it was, you know, the wife of the caretaker's going, "Oh, where are they all? I thought you said they were there." And then, "Oh, might be upstairs." So I'm walking underneath these voices and footsteps, 100% sure that it can only be, if it's not the caretaker and his wife, then two people have wandered in. That just doesn't really make sense. I get to the top of the stairs. I turn to look down the building thinking, well, it's a wide open building. There's nobody there. I mean, they literally 10, 20 seconds walked over my head, and that's when I got the chills and sort of think, no one's going to believe when I go downstairs and say there's nobody here. So I had no option but to come fully up the stairs and walk down through the upper mill with the failing light coming through the window, and being quite scared but excited as well. I definitely heard voices, a male and a female, and footsteps pass over me, and then there was nobody found. You know, I went to the door and looked out in case that I'd missed them and had gone back out. Nobody there. And for the rest of the night, for hours later, until the caretaker came back, there was no sign of anybody. So that didn't make me a believer at the time, but that's one of those, on my journey, it was one of those things of, damn, that was big question mark. Had I imagined it? No, because other people heard it. But I had no explanation. But, you know, windows were smashed. Had I heard sounds from outside, a couple walking past, their voices carrying, I was underground, wasn't I? So any reverberation might have gone into the beams above our heads. Yeah, I was still very sceptical, but it just bugs me that. I don't know what that could have been. Yeah. Well, that was cool. Right. How's everyone doing? So, before we talk about stone tape theory, because that's something I've been looking into. Yeah. So this Paranormal Night In, it's just, obviously this is the first time we've done it. You get the idea. I'm thinking you can watch it at your leisure. Most people do. Most people don't watch my lives yet, because this is like, I know Lucy does a lot of streaming, but this is more my type of thing to use YouTube. It's just much more helpful to my team to get the YouTube thing going, because eventually monetization is really useful. You know, if we start getting enough subscribers and enough watch time, to be monetised, it's a bit of a game changer, to be absolutely honest. We've tried all sorts of experiments for ages. I try and give you good value. You know, I've seen Facebook Lives on a certain night every week where the investigator will literally just sit and talk about anything, whereas I do consciously try and give you value if I do one. This will be so much easier with a guest, you know. So hopefully, if we do another one, I will actually have somebody to bounce off. Maybe more interesting for you guys, but yeah, it'd be nice if this could take off. Anyway, if you missed it at the beginning, and you wanna psychically tell me what is in this box, thank you, Kim. If you can tell me what's in this box or have a guess, comment at any time, and we will see at the end if you are correct. Because people, as you might have seen, tarot card readers, they just do it over the phone, don't they? Or they do it on video call. You know, oh, here, 30 quid, and I'll read you your tarot cards, even though I've never met you, and you're just down the phone line. I mean, that's easy money. That is the dark side of any paranormal thing for me, you know? I could put on an investigation every week at a place that I knew would never get activity, but farm through hundreds of people, you know, a year, and they would probably invent the activity, half of it in their head. And at the end of every night, I could just say, hey, I can't make the ghosts come. Thanks for all your money. You know, that's the dark side. It's very rare I charge people to come on my investigations. Now, this is only my point of view, but I'm saying I find when money gets introduced, it's almost like you've done a deal. If somebody pays you money, you need to give them a product. And with ghost hunting, it don't work like that, does it? First of all, I don't pay the ghosts. The only time I need to charge people is if I want to get into like the police museum and we split the cost among all the people coming. So we don't make money, we just get in somewhere cool. And that to me is the way to do it. However, with monetisation, if we were to get good on YouTube, then that money can go back into hiring places, you know? So, you know, Carla and Kim are among a very short list of people who are really engaged with the team, and you know, we need more Kims and more Carlas, really. We need the word spreading. I've spent a lot of this week talking to other teams about this YouTube channel, and it's difficult to get anyone interested, even people who are interested in the field. As long as I enjoy it, I'll keep on doing things like this. So, thank you. Has anyone got an idea or a guess? Any just what comes into your head? What do you think's in the box? Have a guess. Cheers, Carla and Kim. Now give me a word. No, not a clue. Not even a stab. Fair enough. So anyone who watches this after it's posted, you can still do it, as long as you're doing it before the end. Going for something round. Okay. Balls, yeah. Could be. So, let's put this on my notes. Something round, possibly balls, let's say. Balls, okay. Okay. Stone tape theory, right. So, I think when you start in the paranormal as a you know, anyone who's interested, you come across stone tape theory, don't you? And I think we all know that, oh yeah, the limestone, the quartz in the wall, it records and plays back some sort of, like a video, like a cassette tape, a replays certain, if the weather conditions are just right, if the temperature's just right, it almost like releases and plays this recording again. I'm as guilty as anyone for saying, yeah, it sounds like stone tape theory. I looked into stone tape theory by watching other YouTube videos, pretty much, and this is what I found out. So, the reason it's called stone tape theory, let's break this down into two things. Stone tape and theory. Theory, the word theory. This stone tape theory isn't a theory. It's a guess. A theory, the very word theory, is that something's been tried and tested, rigorously, and this is like the best proven, but not fully factual proven. It's a theory. It isn't a theory. There's no scientific testing done on this. There's no rigorous science applied at all. It's just got the word theory bit rammed on the end because people have said, what if? Stone tape, the reason it's called stone tape, the stone tape was the name of a 1972 horror film. So we'll get to that. Now, what you most often hear is quartz and limestone. So, quartz is the most common crystal covering the earth. Makes sense, yeah, they put quartz in watches. Limestone, it's just abundant. Limestone is also all over the place. So it makes sense that people are like, wherever spirits are, is the quartz nearby? Is the limestone? Do both play a part when they're working together? Is it the two things, possibly? Now what we're saying is that quartz and limestone, they work the same way that a magnetic strip of tape does, either on a video or a cassette. And we're saying that that's what the mere fact that those quartz and limestone are there, that's all that's needed to somehow magically work like a recording device, when the two are so not the same. But so straight off the bat, oh yeah, it's probably stone tape because that like record stuff. There's no evidence that would ever be the case. So, dig deeper. Charles Babbage, in 1838, he started writing these books, and he said, and I quote, the air itself is a vast library on whose pages are forever written all that man has ever said or woman whispered. So Charles Babbage was really keen on the idea that when you spoke words, the words didn't just die, they went into the walls. They were not lost to time. So you can see where this is going and how it got picked up. That's kind of what stone tape theory is, isn't it? You put the energy out. The energy's got to go somewhere. It doesn't just die. And he wrote a lot of books about this. Now, there was also a guy called Thomas Charles Lethbridge. And at a similar sort of time, he was really into the idea that there were invisible fields of electronics and stuff, electrically charged by ions in the air from people nearby. He said that everything has these fields around, and so that must be interacting with each other, interacting with other objects. So, yeah, this is like the ether, which is a bit of a strange word anyway. And they were thinking that you could pick up on that. You could read somebody's ether, you could detect it. So there were two different ideas about energies and words being caught, and this magical force around every object. that if you could tap into it, you could get information. Now that's where psychometry comes from. You pick up this thing and you hold it, and it's used. This handkerchief used to belong to a highwayman in 1862, but because you are touching the ether, you can actually read it. Ah, yes, that person died on 17th of February. So there's these two things: the guy thinking that the noise it never dies, and another guy thinking that if you talk against a wall, somebody else can come along and psychically read those words that you've spoken because they linger in the air. Now, with psychometry getting big business about touching items, there's a movie called The Stone Tape in 1972, and so the two are kind of fused together. The Stone Tape theory, the of the moment time, is this horror film, where objects have done such a thing, and that movie's where the Stone Tape theory is called the Stone Tape theory. It's from a film, so that devalues it almost straight away. Why has it never been updated? So the very idea that emotions, an argument in a room, can stain physical objects somehow is pure speculation. There's absolutely no science that says that's even possible. And even myself have just said the same sorts of things. Like, hey, you know when you walk into a room after an argument, when you suddenly walk in and everyone's quiet and you're like, ooh, there's an atmosphere in here. Now I've sort of said, that must be like Stone Tape theory, that the energies are still detectable, but science hasn't said so. So yeah, speculation. We say that violent death marks the atmosphere. The second law of thermodynamics being that sandcastles can only fall into disarray, ourselves can only fall into disarray. You never wake up one morning and you're looking younger and better than you ever did, because things go, order turns to chaos. That is the law of the universe. Spirits get less together, they fade, So how do spirits, stay together? I mean, there is unknown science, I guess. But we concur that stone tape theory and cassette tapes have no business being in the same discussion. The whole thing comes off two guys' wacky thoughts years ago, and then a movie. So the next time you hear stone tape theory, it has absolutely no basis in anything. Because the way I put it at the end of this thing here is, surely, now that I'm speaking out all these words and all the living you do in your house, the longer you lived in your house, the more times the atmosphere, the circumstances were just correct to hear yourself back. Surely the longer you live in a place, the more you haunt yourself. You're more likely to run into words you've said, see yourself doing something, and that's never what gets said, is it? I'm more likely to recreate the same environment with the heat, with the regimental things that I do at a certain time, than my neighbour coming in and having this heat setting the same and the lamps in the same place. It's less likely for them to create the same situation than I do, and yet I don't haunt my sense self. Deja vu, Kim. Deja vu. It's a cool one, the deja vu, isn't it? I mean, there's no answer. I find it fascinating. It'd be great to look into that, if we can do this again. See what views it gets in later times. So, if you have watched this after it's been posted and not live, it's time to look what is in the box. So the time for guessing is done. Inside this box, there is a dinosaur. I will give you toy, perhaps? Dinosaur, T-Rex. It's obscure, I know. And the irony is, I did think about putting a coin in there. So when, was it Carla said round? Yeah. Then I may have gone, oh, that's interesting. But I didn't. I went for a dinosaur. Now, all those supposed tarot reading remote viewers, they'd never got that, would they? And yet, why not? It can be any object if they're so good. It's time for the quiz answers. So get your sheets of paper while we whiz through this. Question 1. How many Friday the 13th movies have there been? According to my research, 12. Yeah, quite a lot. Psycho actress, question 2. Janet Leigh is the mother of which actress? Jamie Lee Curtis, of the Halloween films most notably, and The Fog, which is a classic horror film also, the original. So yeah, Jamie Lee Curtis. Number 3. Paranormal Activity, The Marked Ones, oh nice, is which number film? It's number 5. Number 5. In Hellraiser, what is the term for the demons? Cenobites. Guess you either know that one or it's not something you really guess, is it? Number 5. What does The Exorcist and Joker movie share in the films? It is a set of steps which are very notable. The priest falls down the same iconic steps as the Joker dances down in the movies. And I recognised it straight away, so yeah. So there's quite a lot of people visit it for The Exorcist, and now quite a lot of people will visit it for the Joker movie. Number 6. Who plays Freddy Krueger in the remake? Well, obviously Robert Englund plays it everywhere else, but in the remake, in 2010, he was played by Jackie Earle Haley. Jackie Earle Haley. And as a huge Elm Street fan, I was really biased to liking the Elm Street remake, but it just was lacking. Obviously, we never got any more from it, so I think most other people thought that as well. The worst room number in The Shining, if your memory of the book or the movies or the TV series will tell you it was room 237. Whatever you do, don't go into room 237. Now, 237 in the movie, when Stephen King really stayed in the Stanley Hotel and was told, don't, or was he given the most haunted room, which was 217, but the Stanley Hotel didn't allow them to use 217, so it was changed to 237. Who is not returning to the new Scream movie because she was embarrassingly not offered enough money? Neve Campbell. Neve Campbell being like one of the main stars. I know they've moved on and got like a younger cast to take over the reins, but Neve Campbell, you want her in it? She's Sydney Prescott, wasn't she? She's one of the main ones. So question 9. How many versions of The Thing are there? There's 3 versions of The Thing. First, it came from outer space. Got remade, John Carpenter, most famously, The Thing. And then, later on, they did a remake of John Carpenter's The Thing. So 3. Question 10. What age certificate did Poltergeist get released with in 1982? It was, unbelievably, a PG. A PG. It terrified people. Now, I know Steven Spielberg produced it, but the director of Poltergeist was Tobe Hooper, who did Texas Chainsaw Massacre, and the thing still got a PG. Terrifying far too many of my generation before it got moved to a 15, because that's what it should get. Remember, there's the zombies in the swimming pool, there's the creepy damn clown under the bed, what chokes the life out of the son. The guy, most notably, the paranormal investigator, goes in the bathroom and washes his face, looks in the mirror and sees all his skin peeling off in a horrific... Yeah, just gives kid nightmares. I mean, I loved it, but it really had a bad effect on people. It was terrifying. Not exactly a watch this and go to bed film, was it? Right, question 11. We watched Poltergeist at school. Yeah, 13. I think it did get a PG-13 in America, whereas PG in England is like parent guide. It's like just accompanied. You can be any age, you know. Because what's weird about certificates, 12 A's in England means 12 accompanied. It means anybody from the age of 8 can watch a 12A. Whereas a 12 is strictly 12. But a lot of 12As are not really aimed at 8-year-olds, I find. In which film is a podcaster surgically turned against his will into a walrus? That film is Tusk. And if you want weird, not quite as weird as Human Caterpillar, but we're on that sort of ballpark. Question 12. Sadako in the original, Japanese. Samara in the American remake. The Ring. That is the long, black-haired girl who wonderfully crawls out of the television. Now, The Ring was about a cursed video, and I watched it on VHS. The whole premise of the movie being that you watch this Ring movie in the film, and the girl would come out of the TV and basically kill you if you didn't watch it, and you had to then pass it on to somebody else, like a chain letter. And even though I knew it was just a film, when I watched the Ring video, just in case, I lent it to my mate. I thought, well, you can do what you want, but as long as I can't be got by the curse of the Ring, even though it's a movie. Yeah, I'm a good friend like that. Question 13. Last question. Tapping in my lounge then. Hello? Okay. Question 13. In the Conjuring movies, who do Vera Farmiga and Patrick Wilson play? I thought you would all have got that. That is Ed and Lorraine Warren. Oh. And I think that is about it. So, I hope you have had some pleasure out of that. Complete experiment. You know, the interaction, you got one. You got 7. Oh, yeah. 1. I mean, you got 1. Hey, that's good. 7's cool. 7 is really good. Most people don't know that my paranormal investigation videos quite often have secret words right at the end. It's only ever Carla who watches the credits and sees the code words. But for this, because you watched right to the end, I'm going to give you this. And I need to turn it around, flip the camera around, and then do this. And if you know what to do with it, you will get something out of it. And obviously, if you watch the uploaded version, you've got more time to get it. And with that, hey, I thank you so much for watching. Let me know in the comments. Share the team. And just from the bottom of my heart, thank you. I've enjoyed myself. I hope you have too. See you guys later. Bye. Goodbye. Goodbye. I don't have to stop it. Yeah, cheers. Thank you. This isn't stopping now. This is well, this is embarrassing. I can't stop it. That. Cancel. That. Sure. Right, done.